Have you ever noticed how we spend so much of life chasing what we think will finally make us happy? We keep waiting for the perfect moment, when we have more money, more success, or more recognition, to start feeling content. But the truth is, happiness isn't something we find at the end of the road. It's something we create along the way. In a small seaside town, there lived a man named Leo. He wasn't rich, but he wasn't poor either. He owned a little bakery near the harbor, known for the smell of fresh bread that drifted through the streets every morning. People often stopped by not just for his pastries, but for his smile. Yet inside, Leo was restless. Every time he served customers who spoke about their vacations, big houses, or new businesses, a quiet thought whispered in his head, "Why am I still here? Why haven't I done more?" At night, Leo would look out at the ocean and imagine himself somewhere else, running a bigger bakery, living in a bigger city, doing something that would make him feel successful. The town loved him, but he couldn't love his own life. He believed happiness lived somewhere beyond his reach. One day, a violent storm rolled in from the sea. The wind howled through the narrow streets, and the waves crashed against the docks. Leo, worried about his shop, rushed through the rain to check on it. When he opened the door, water was already flooding the floor, soaking the flour sacks and knocking over trays of bread. His heart sank. Years of hard work felt like they were dissolving in front of his eyes. The next morning, when the storm finally passed, Leo stood among the ruined shelves and broken glass, exhausted and defeated. He thought about giving up, moving away, finding something new, escaping the weight of disappointment. But as he began to clean, he noticed something. People from the neighborhood were walking toward his bakery, carrying buckets, towels, and tools. One by one, they stepped inside without a word and began helping. Mrs. Rowan, the florist from next door, brought warm tea. The old fisherman who bought his bread every morning started sweeping the floor. Children formed a line to carry out debris. Leo watched them, speechless. He had spent years believing he was alone in his struggle, but in that moment, his small bakery became the heart of the town. By evening, the floor was dry, the counters repaired, and the oven fixed. The townspeople gathered outside, tired but smiling. Someone handed Leo a loaf of bread they had saved from the storm. It was misshapen and imperfect, but as he held it, he felt a strange warmth in his chest. It wasn't pride, it was gratitude. He realized that what had survived wasn't just his bakery, it was his connection to the people around him. That night, Leo sat by the window, the ocean calm again, and thought about how he had been living. He had been so focused on what he didn't have that he'd missed the beauty of what was already his. His dreams weren't wrong, they were just incomplete. He didn't need a grander life, he needed a fuller heart. Over the next few months, Leo rebuilt his bakery not to impress, but to serve. He added a small table in the corner where anyone could sit and eat, even if they couldn't pay. He started baking extra loaves each morning to give to the elderly who lived alone. Slowly, word spread. People began visiting not just for the bread, but for the feeling that came with it, the warmth, the kindness, the sense of belonging. One day, a traveler passing through the town stopped by the bakery. "I've heard about this place," he said. "They say you make the best bread in the region." Leo smiled and handed him a loaf. The man took a bite and nodded. "It's delicious," he said. "What's your secret?" Leo thought for a moment and replied, "I stopped chasing success and started baking with gratitude." The traveler laughed, thinking it was a metaphor. But Leo meant every word, because he had learned that happiness doesn't arrive wrapped in gold or recognition. It hides in ordinary moments, the smell of bread in the morning, the sound of laughter in a crowded room, the touch of someone's hand when you're struggling. And while the storm had taken away his comfort for a while, it had given him something more valuable: perspective. The waves had washed away his illusions, leaving behind something simple and true. Years later, Leo's bakery became a small legend. People said there was something magical in his bread, that every bite tasted like home. But Leo knew the magic wasn't in the flour or the oven. It was in the love he poured into it, the gratitude that rose like dough with every sunrise. Sometimes, visitors would ask if he ever regretted staying in that small town. He would look out toward the ocean, smile, and say, "I've traveled farther in this little bakery than I ever could anywhere else." And that was the truth. Happiness didn't find Leo. He built it. One loaf, one moment, one act of kindness at a time. So maybe the question isn't, when will I be happy? Maybe the real question is, what am I overlooking that's already enough? Because life will always have storms, disappointments, and days that test us. But if you can learn to find joy even when things aren't perfect, you've already won a kind of wealth no treasure can match. Tell me in the comments, what part of Leo's journey spoke to you the most? Was it his storm, his community, or the moment he found peace again? I read every message, and your words truly matter. And if you love stories that remind you of life's quiet magic, subscribe and stay connected.